In 2009, a young woman stood in a car dealership in London, signing away the keys to her first car. Her hands were probably shaking. This wasn't just any car sale. This was her independence, her freedom, her symbol of making it as an immigrant. But she needed the money for something everyone told her would fail. You are crazy, Dentaa. Who is going to come to an African awards show? Who is going to sponsor it? 7 years later, that same woman walked into Buckingham Palace to receive an MBE from Queen Elizabeth II. Stormzy was in the audience celebrating her. The car she sold, it had become a movement worth millions. I am Akosua Dentaa, the one and only boss lady, and this is the rise of Dentaa Amoateng MBE. Here is what nobody tells you about success stories. They all start with someone doing something that looks absolutely insane to everyone else. In fact, it doesn't even have to make sense to everyone. And Dentaa, she's been doing insane things since she was 5 years old. 1988, Margaret Thatcher is Prime Minister. The internet didn't exist at that time. And here is 5-year-old Akosua. Dentaa Amoateng steps off a plane at Heathrow Airport. She has just left Draso, a small town in Ghana's Ashanti region where her family had deep roots, where being Ghanaian was never questioned. Her parents had made an impossible decision, that was to leave everything familiar behind for opportunities they hoped existed in a country that might not even want them. One Townstone East Airport. If you know this area in the 80s, you know it wasn't exactly rolling out red carpets for little African girls with thick Ghanaian accents. But Dentaa wasn't just any little girl, because she was simply better than everyone else. Yes, she played football. Her parents, especially her mother Catherine, had instilled something powerful in her. That was discipline, ambition, and an unshakable belief that being Ghanaian was something to be proud of, not hidden. But what Amstor was about to test every single one of those values. The bullying started immediately. Kids making fun of everything. Her accent, her traditional hairstyles, her name, they couldn't even pronounce it. But here's what's crazy about young Dentaa. Most kids who get torn apart like this, they mostly try to disappear. They change their accents. They beg their parents to straighten their hair. They try to blend in. Not Dentaa. This girl decided she was going to be so visible, so proud, so unapologetically Ghanaian. The bullying was brutal. Kids making fun of her accent, her traditional hairstyles, calling her names I wouldn't even repeat. And you know what Dentaa parents told her? They said, "Baby girl, your culture is not your weakness. It's your superpower. Never let them make you ashamed of who you are." Those words planted a seed that would eventually grow into something extraordinary. By her early 20s, Dentaa was doing exactly what her immigrant family expected. She wasn't just thinking about nursing. She was actively training for it, studying for it, building towards a career that represented everything her parents wanted her to be. Her parents were proud. Catherine, the mother who had instilled all that discipline and ambition, could see her daughter following a path that justified leaving Draso. This was the immigrant dream playing out exactly as it should. But she's sitting in church in 2005, watching gospel musicians perform, and something just clicks. She realizes she's not meant to be taking care of people's bodies. She's meant to be healing spirits. So she does something that probably broke her parents' hearts. She records a gospel album. Wuye Nyame, He is God in tree. Imagine that conversation at home. Your daughter, who you've sacrificed everything for, who has been training for a secure career, suddenly wants to be a gospel singer in a country where being African is already seen as a disadvantage. 2009, global financial crisis. People are losing jobs, homes, hope. And Dentaa is trying to launch something called the Ghana UK-based Achievement Awards, GUBA Awards. She needs money for venue, of course, production, marketing. Rejected investors, they are not interested. Family and friends love the idea, but they can't help financially. So Dentaa does something that still gives me chills when I think about it. She sells her first car. Not just any car. This was a symbol of everything she had ever achieved as a young immigrant: her independence, her freedom to come and go as she pleased, her proof to her parents that living nursing wasn't a complete disaster. This wasn't just a financial transaction. This was her admitting that she believed in this crazy vision more than she believed in her own comfort. Stand there with her for a moment. Are you watching your independence drive away? Your parents already questioned your career choices, might now think you've completely lost your mind. Your backup plan is gone. If this doesn't work, you're going to take the bus back to depending on others. She was betting on something bigger, that there were enough proud Africans in the UK who were tired of being invisible, that excellence deserves recognition regardless of passport color. The first GUBA Awards night at London venue, Dentaa is backstage, heart pounding, wondering if this is about to be the most expensive mistake of her life. The doors open, 500 people flooding, 500 proud Africans and their allies, dressed to the nines, ready to celebrate excellence. UK politicians in the audience, business leaders, community organizers, young professionals who had never seen themselves reflected in mainstream British award shows. The energy in that room must have been intoxicating. People crying, laughing, networking, dreaming. And there's Dentaa, the girl once bullied from being too African, on stage hosting an event that celebrates exactly that. But this wasn't just about awards. This was about identity. This was about belonging. This was about a generation of Africans in the diaspora finally having a space where they could be fully themselves. 2011, Future 100 Award for Young Social Entrepreneur. 2013, Europe's Most Inspirational Woman. 2016, MBE from Queen Elizabeth II. Let that sink in for a moment. The same little girl who was bullied for her Ghanaian accent was now being honored by the Queen of England for improving UK-African relations. When Dentaa walked into Buckingham Palace on the June day in 2016, she wasn't just collecting an honor, she was proving something profound, that the very thing people once mocked you for can become the thing they celebrate you for. GUBA evolved into GUBA Enterprise, not just awards, but trade expos connecting African businesses to UK markets, a foundation supporting autistic children, over 100 families helped, a diaspora network facilitating millions in investments, career placement services, even a loyalty card giving 40% of discount on Ghanaian products. She turned a car sale into a movement. She turned bullying into bridge building. She turned personal pain into collective power. By 2024, Dentaa had become something unprecedented, a cultural diplomat without official status. She was breaking deals between Ghana and the UK, advising the Grammy Awards on their Africa strategy, sitting on international boards. She was representing Ghana more effectively than some official ambassadors. She was promoting African excellence more consistently than some government departments. And then September 17, 2025, something historic happened. The government of Ghana presented Dentaa Amoateng with a diplomatic passport, not just an honor, but official recognition that this woman has been representing the country's interests for over 2 decades. Think about the journey. From selling her car to sitting in rooms with presidents and prime ministers, from being told she was too African to being celebrated for being African. Some of you are probably thinking, that's great for her, but what does this have to do with me? Now, listen to me carefully. Dentaa's story isn't about award shows or royal recognition. It's about the courage to turn your pain into your purpose. Every time someone mocked at her accent, she got more determined to amplify African voices. Every rejection clarified her vision. Every setback made her come back stronger. It's about authenticity as strategy. She didn't try to become British or abandon her Ghanaian identity. She found a way to be authentically both, creating space for herself and thousands of others in the process. It's about thinking beyond yourself, She could have built a successful media career and stopped there. Instead, she used her platform to lift up an entire community. Her success became generational, and it's about persistence over perfection. That first GUBA Awards wasn't perfect. Her gospel album wasn't a hit. Her early TV shows weren't BBC quality, but she kept going. She kept improving. She kept believing when nobody else could see it. Here is the question Dentaa's story forces us to confront. What would happen if you stopped trying to fit into spaces that weren't built for you and start creating the spaces you wish existed? And what if the very thing that makes you different is the thing the world is waiting for? Dentaa Amoateng MBE proved that you don't have to choose between honoring where you came from and succeeding where you are. You don't have to dim your light to make others comfortable. You don't have to wait for permission to celebrate excellence. Sometimes, the most revolutionary act is simply refusing to be invisible. As of today, Dentaa continues to expand GUBA's impact while raising 4 children who she describes as her greatest gifts. Think about that for a moment. Building a global enterprise, traveling between continents for meetings, hosting award shows, and still being present as a mother. She's working with the Grammy Awards to launch Grammy Africa, potentially by 2029. She's facilitating millions in diaspora investment. She's supporting over 100 autistic families through her foundation. She is mentoring the next generation to bridge builders. She's doing all of this while protecting her children's privacy, keeping them grounded, making sure they understand both their British citizenship and their Ghanaian heritage. The woman who once worried about disappointing her mother, Catherine, is now raising her own children with the same values, discipline, and the pride in their identity. And speaking of continuing the legacy, the 2025 GUBA Awards are happening in just 7 weeks. And this year is different. For the first time ever, they are taking the place in Barbados, not London, the Caribbean. In what she's calling reclaiming our Atlantic destiny, Sir Richard Branson will be there, the CEO of NAACP Basket Executives. For the first time ever, there is a direct flight to Accra to Barbados just for this event. If you've been following Dentaa's story and thinking I want to be part of something like this is your moment. The same energy that filled that first room in 2010 with 500 dreamers is now spanning continents. You can get tickets at the GUBAsawards.com. This is where the next generation of African excellence gets celebrated, where connections are made that change lives, where young people see what's impossible when you refuse to be invisible. The little girl who was bullied for being African is now literally connecting 3 continents around African excellence. But if that doesn't inspire you to bet on yourself, I don't know what will. Dentaa has created a template while showing us what it looks like to stay true to your roots while reaching for the stars. The athletic girl who captained boys' football teams became the woman who lives in rooms full of dignitaries. The daughter who disappointed her parents by leaving nursing became the entrepreneur who proved that following your passion can still serve others. The mother of 4 who could have chosen the easier path of quiet success instead chose to build something that lifts up entire communities. The little girl from Jasu who was once told she was too African, she's now so proudly African that the world celebrates her for it. The woman who sold her car to found a dream. That dream has facilitated over $50 million in investment and created thousands of jobs while she raised 4 children. That's not just success. That's transformation. That's legacy. That's the rise. In our next episode, we are diving into the story of someone who took a completely different path to success. From the boxing rings of Accra to international championship glory. A man whose face spoke louder than words, whose determination was forged in the streets of Jamestown, the legendary Azuma Nelson. Trust me, you don't want to miss that story. But for now, let me ask you something. What would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? What space would you create if you had the courage? What community would you build if you believed in yourself the way Dentaa believed in herself? Stop waiting for someone else to create the platform you need. Stop hoping someone else will tell your story. Stop expecting the world to change without you doing the work to change it. Be the dental of your own story. Turn your difference into your power. Transform your pain into your purpose. The people who change the world are just the ones who refuse to let the world change them. This has been the Rise of Dentaa Amoateng MBE. I am the boss lady, Akosua Dentaa, and I'll see you in the next one.
Lady Dentaa Amoateng.